Hi, it's Thad with Willow Way Nurseries here. We're in November, and over last night into today and then tomorrow night here, we're getting temperatures that are going below freezing. So it's our first below freezing temperatures for the year. And we've had to do a number of preparations to get ready for that. So some of the things are draining tanks on water tanks. In our pump houses we drained out. But we're doing a number of other things. One of the things, I'm in a house, we have liners for next year canning. And in this house, one of the things that we're doing is we've got shade on the house. So what that does is keep it a little more shaded in the winter, so I use a little less water. We're not really trying to grow them or anything else, but it's really to kind of retain more water since we do shut most of the nursery down. Some of the other things we do, we have this plastic in the doorway put in. And this serves two purposes. One is this rabbit barrier, and it also helps with wind. So the little flats, this little piece of plastic helps keep the wind directly off them, so they stay a little drier that way. So those are some of the things that we're doing in liners, and we have the doors closed this time of year. So with these colder temperatures, they're still not fully dormant. So things that in the nursery that aren't fully dormant, we're actually having to kind of bring down more gently, because we went from like 40s and 50s now to below freezing. So the plants aren't really ready, they're not hardened off yet enough. It's Thad again here at Willow Way in Avon, Ohio. I want to talk a little bit about, continue on with some of our covering. We talked about the liners and them needing to be covered and closed up. You might ask, why not the Japanese maples? Japanese maples, for a couple reasons. They're hardy enough. We will cover these houses, but right now in this area we only have impact lines, so they still need water. So we'll be watering because we're going to be getting up warmer temperatures at the end of the week here. So even though it's snowing today, later this week we're going to be in the 50s again. So we'll water them again. And then we have interior plastic laid out on the side of the house. When we go to cover these, we'll pull the plastic over the plants and then cover the house. And that will hold it through the winter. All right, we come over to another house here at Long Road, our tree production. As you can see, we got a house of Cereus red buds in this house. We've got them laid over. Part of that is because of the bamboo is too tall for the roofs, so they poke through the plastic. And the other part is it's easier to cover them. Cereus is another plant that we pull interior plastic over for the winter. That does two things. That plastic will help hold the heat in a little more, the ground temperature. But because red buds grow so vigorously in production, you can see here we've got a lot of new growth that hasn't really hardened off fully. If we don't keep them a little protected in the winter, what we see is a lot of tip dieback in the plants that we'd have to trim out before shipping, so in spring. So that's helped mitigate some of those situations. There we got the roof over just to keep the frost and cold, but we still want to keep these going dormant. So you can see on the far end and on this end we have the doors open, so we are letting some cold air come in here, just mitigating it on top of the plant directly. Hi, we're out here finishing up our segment on overwintering. Prunus Kwanzan, we're above ground, but we also store this inside in houses that are covered. Because it's in a socket, then it gets the root insulation. It actually helps the soil actually acts just like I talked about with the Cereus. They get that heat that comes up from underground that keeps the roots from freezing up solid, and it keeps that that root temperature. Some plants are the root temperature that it can, minimum threshold that it can have is lower. The plant itself is hardy enough, but if the roots get too cold or freeze, then the plant will die. So since we're not in a planted normal soil, landscape, we have to kind of mimic some of that being planted into the ground. So that's why the sockets work, or the pot and pot.